It's Friday Night Live. I pushed go live ages ago, and it was just tonight it was thinking, it's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Well, now we're live. Happy Friday Night Live on a Thursday. For all of you, like, did she say Friday? I did say Friday Night Live. It's Friday Night Live on a Thursday. I poured a whiskey. There's a little bit of a chocolate down there at the bottom. We just mixed it in with the peanut butter whiskey, which gave it a strange color. We'll see. I'm sure it's blasphemy to mix anything with whiskey, but whatever. Old fashions mix things with whiskey. It'll be fine. We got Pawnard Fred representing in the back, taking a nappy nap. He'll be curled up back there probably till about 9, unless things pop off. When we go to code Fred, you know it's gotten bad. Let me know where you're coming in from, what you're drinking tonight. We've also got some water. It's been a busy week. It's been a busy week, y'all. I will not be live tomorrow. I am so happy to be live with y'all tonight. The text message went out, so hopefully you guys all saw that. I want to make sure I see it. I totally forgot to tweet. I'll tweet in just a second. I'll tweet while we're talking. Tweet on the street. But it's been a busy week. It's just been a busy week. So happy Thursday. Week's almost done. Good to see everybody. It's just. We should get into it. I should tell you what we're talking about tonight. Replay crew, love you. There will be timestamps and stuff down below. We'll see all the things down below. And with that, tonight we're going to do a quick weekly roundup. Stuff has popped off in the USC. The USC college admission scandal case. So we're going to talk about that real quick. There's a new Supreme Court justice. We'll talk about that. And then Lynne Spears is still trying to get paid out here, and I have feelings about it. Britney's also posting about her wonderful lawyer on Instagram, which like warmed my deep, cold lawyer heart. No, I'm teasing. I'm a big softie. Warmed my heart to see Britney giving some love on the gram to her attorney. I was like, aw, Brit's on vacation. Still calling her boyfriend her husband. Maybe they're married. Who knows anymore? So with that, those are the topics we're getting into tonight. I'm going to leave some time for Q&A. We've had a lot of topics. We've done a lot of stuff, and we haven't had a ton of time to do Q&A. So we'll have kind of an open Q&A tonight if it wanders between topics we've covered this week. I'm sure some of you have, or at least Twitter has some thoughts. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about this Vulture article that I'm quoted in, because Vulture reached out and to talk about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. So we can touch on that. Would that be helpful to touch on that as well? Maybe just to be like, hey, sometimes your girl ends up in the media. Sometimes we end up in the media under Emily Baker. Sometimes it's under Emily D. Baker. It's always confusing to me, but we've got that happening in this Johnny Depp Amber Heard case. So we will talk about that too. I shared that over on the Twitter. If you don't follow me on the social medias, I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you're new, put a 1 in the chat. We're going to go ahead and roll the intro, and we have lots to talk about. Is my brain working slower tonight? Probably. Have we streamed a lot this week? Yep. I'm still stuck somewhere in the middle of the Girardi case. And then, okay, me, roll the intro. Also me, just wait. But wait, there's more. The new trailer for Housewives. Y'all, we're going to have to talk about it. If you want to see my full reaction to it, I put that over on Patreon with the I Have Thoughts podcast. I did a video episode reacting to the new Housewives trailer. Wow. And then I tried to share about it on Instagram, and Instagram bleeped me every time I said the F word, it makes me so tempted to go onto Instagram and just go on a rail of curse words and see what gets bleeped and what doesn't. I might have to just do that tomorrow anyway. Just to put together a string of profanities, A, to offend people who get offended by profanities, and B, to see what Instagram's bleeping and what they're not, because now I'm curious. So if you're not following me on Instagram, you have to check out my Instagram stories today. They are a minute, and that's at the Emily D. Baker. But let's roll the intro and let's just get into it. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. During the intro, I was going to go tweet things, and then I got completely into reading all your comments and sharing them on screen, which I love. We're definitely going to have a chill stream tonight. It's why we timestamp things. It's so we can just enjoy a stream, and we have not had a more chill stream probably since our last members only stream, because things have popped off. Things have just gotten wild. But not today. Not today. We're not here for the wild today. Today has been a busy day. I love chatting with y'all. I got to talk about social media with advanced social media students at University of Memphis today, and that was fantastic. We talked about, the difficulties between, or the strain between, social media, the First Amendment, harassment on social media, the growth of conspiracy theories on social media, the growth of things that can be harmful on social media in the, especially with young women with body image, and there's just so much on social media that can be harmful, and where is the boundaries of what the platforms can do and can't do, what they should do and shouldn't do, what free speech allows, because free speech allows you to be a dick. Like, people can go off. Free speech allows that, but it's not always helpful. So there's that, and it's our free speech was conceived in a time so different than the time we live in. I'm not advocating for free speech to change. It's just that the way platforms operate is so different. And it was a really fascinating conversation, because our youth is going to have to find ways. Did I just call college kids youth? Yep. How old are we? That old. We're going to have to find ways to navigate this, and to navigate what the government can regulate, because the government can't tell social media how to regulate, and what social media chooses to regulate, not regulate, and the dangers of regulating a particular point of view or particular political ideology or thought process. But then, when does that lean so far into conspiracy that it's like, well, is it harmful? And are people responsible for themselves to determine what's harmful or not? And how does that factor in with young adults and young kids, and how protecting them on social? These are very big conversations that I think are worth having. The thing that's so interesting to me is, right now on social media particularly, it feels like conversations can't always be had, because conversations are conversations where you ask questions and you explore options of questions, and you're like, but if this, then what about this? And if that, then what about that? And asking questions in that way is not always conducive on social media. Things get taken out of context, things get clipped down. And so it's sometimes hard to have these conversations that are so needed to have, which is why I'm glad to see we're able to be getting back into in-person things where we can sit down and talk really to one another, and to have these conversations, not just in colleges, but in law schools. And it's one of the things I'm so excited about, seeing more diversity in the profession of law. What we don't need is just a million, rich kids going to top 10 law schools with the same professors that have been there forever, and not really being introduced to people who are different than they are, people who have different experiences than they are, people with different capabilities and socioeconomic backgrounds and racial backgrounds and religious backgrounds, people who have different political beliefs than they do, and deeply held religious beliefs different than theirs. And learning to see things from another angle gets very difficult when you've never had those conversations. And when people just want to shut down conversation or speech, then you can't get really a full perspective, which is why when we talk about our first topic today, we're going to talk about a new Supreme Court confirmation, and something that I never thought of until I was listening to, I don't know who, I was scrolling through the YouTubes, as one does. And I think Ricada was just talking about the Supreme Court confirmation. So I'm going to talk about something that he said that I thought was very interesting, and then we'll go into it, because truly, it was not a concern I hadn't thought about, and he pointed it out. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But I'm going to share this out on Twitter real quick, because we are going to be talking about Britney in just a few minutes. We do talk about Britney. We have to talk about Britney. So, well, we have to talk about Lynne Spears. Britney's new motions. Can I type and talk? No. No, I can't. So with that, we should absolutely Brian, thank you for bringing up the LA show. The LA show is fantastic. It's got everything, and hopefully some of y'all are streaming it. Hopefully this is because their show should be later. I should be done by the time the LA show's live for Spilling Team Live. So with that, we are going to talk about Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno. I can't stop with the Encanto soundtrack. I love it so much. I'm going to talk about it. But we're going to get into a very, very brief weekly roundup before we get into these Britney documents. Because I always say, like, it's going to be quick, but we've got 2 to go through. And you guys are like, oh, 2 documents, Emily? How long is that going to take you? We're going to all find out together. We're going to find out together. Me, is my screen sharing working? Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Look at me being an adult. We're professionals here, folks. So with this, Judge Jackson was confirmed. I'm encouraged, though. What I will, well, yes, Judge Jackson is the first female Black Supreme Court justice. It is wonderful to have more diversity in the court, not just in gender, but also in ideology. I know there are people who do not love Judge Jackson. That is fine. Trust me, if everyone loved a particular judge or lawyer, I would have a lot more questions, because then I would think they had no ideology and just went with what was politically expedient, which is not what I want to see. So with that, I know that there are those who are not happy, but that is how political appointments work. When one side's in power, they appoint people that more closely align to what they see. And when another side's in power, they appoint people that are more closely aligned with what they see. And our last 2 Supreme Court justices that have been appointed are women. And, we love to see it. Women take a different approach to law than men do, just in my experience. And people come from different backgrounds. And that brings not just context to the bench, but humanity to the bench. And with humanity coming to the bench, you just bring a lot more opportunity for conversation. Though what I will say is Judge Jackson comes from a long line of Harvard educated lawyers. But she also was a defense attorney, which is different than a lot of the judges. A lot of judges come from the prosecutorial side. And to be able to have someone who has represented clients directly and sat on the bench, she has a tremendous amount of experience on the bench. So with that, I am happy to see it. I think Judge Coney Barrett was the most recent appointee that didn't come from one of these Ivies and came from Notre Dame. Still a great school. But we have so many justices on the bench that went to Harvard. Harvard wants to implode every time I say Harvard. And if you hadn't seen my TED Talk, I talk about it. I have a conversation about it as an ADHD kid that was like, can we get a state school? Look, test performance does not indicate intelligence. I'm just going to say that. Jesse, this is exactly what I was thinking of. Aaron Burr, from as portrayed through Hamilton, smile less, talk more. And that's not what we want from our Supreme Court justices. We want them to stand for something. She was absolutely a public defender. She was a federal public defender and then was a judge. So with that, I am very, very happy to see someone who has so much experience, and not just that, but experience with criminal law as well. It brings a lot of clarity. The Heathers got to the point that I was going to get to next. Here's the thing that's so interesting. Judge Thomas has not resigned. Judge Thomas was having health issues, but Judge Thomas is not the judge that is resigning. And my brain has just been like, It's the other one that's resigning. And I'm going to have to Google because I completely forgot. The chat's going to tell me, and I'm going to just be like, What is happening? Judge Breyer is retiring, but Judge Breyer has not retired yet. Judge Breyer has intent to retire. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when Breyer does retire. And that was the thing that Ricada brought up today. It's like, well, Breyer, Breyer is not, Breyer hasn't resigned yet. And Breyer is the one who was intent to resign. Um, I had the last I had heard with Judge Thomas is that Judge Thomas had been out of the hospital, but we will see. And we will see. So, we will see what happens next. Again, I'm encouraged. I am encouraged. I am encouraged. I keep hearing Fighting Wolves said, I keep hearing people say that the new justice is the first Black Supreme Court justice. You're correct. No, not the first Black Supreme Court justice, the first Black female Supreme Court justice. Thurgood Marshall was the first, Clarence Thomas was the second. Yes. Yes. Accurate. And it's interesting the way the Supreme Court tracks firsts. It's like the first Catholic justice and the first Jewish justice and the first, and I'm like, where's the first justice that went to Cal State Long Beach? I want to see that too. Non-Ivy League representation. So with this, we have a new Supreme Court justice. Again, not everyone is going to agree with their ideology. I completely understand that, but the point of the court is not to have all of the justices agree. The point of the court is to have respectful and rigorous debate, and that is something that is different and apart from what we see in social media and in our regular world. So with all of that, we're going to move on and talk about the college admission scandal. Let's talk about colleges some more. Let's talk about colleges some more. So the college admission scandal case that we have been covering, I am personally deeply fascinated with, and I feel like I've dragged you all along. Have I shared pictures of my high school water polo team with y'all? Have I shared? I don't remember if I've shared. It's been a while if I have. And if I haven't, maybe we should pull that up on, maybe it feels like tonight's maybe a night to pull up my old, like back in my day. Back in my day, water polo pictures, because this part of the college admission scandal comes from the USC, or the former USC men's water polo coach. So you guys are like, we have not seen the picture. We have not seen the picture. We have not seen the picture. I don't think I've done it recently. So I will pull that up there in my drive somewhere. I will pull those up. But with that, the college admission scandal case that's going on right now is that the water polo coach is being tried for allegedly taking bribes to pretend that kids were recruits onto the water polo team when they weren't, to get them into USC. And with that, we've seen these prosecutions and a number of them. And with the number of prosecutions that we have seen, and I'm trying to find, I'm looking for photos. There we go. I found it. With this prosecution, I'm not blurring out faces. My high school water polo coach went to USC. So I'm pulling up pictures from my senior year. But with that, he's alleged to have taken bribes, to have gotten people onto the USC water polo team as recruits that weren't actually legitimate recruits, right? So with that, the defense and the prosecution in this case have been at each other's throats. Thankfully, Law 360 has had somebody, it seems, in the courtroom going through this. They are in my TED Talk video. I did pull them up there. So with the vitriol between the attorneys, this case has gotten very interesting. And now the case, is with the jury since this evening. Could we have a verdict tomorrow? Maybe. So first of all, let me just be like, back in my day when I played water polo in high school, this is my high school water polo team. This is my senior year, my high school water polo team. Why I'm in the front row? Because I'm one of the shortest ones. Who are the other people in the front row? Well, one other senior and some sophomores. But that's my high school water polo team. Is this photo well lit? No. Is it blurry because it's scanned? Yes. Did we have any any did we have any digital photos? No. Is this picture from 1996? Yes. Do I still have questions about Dave's mustache? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I still do. But my water polo coach went to USC. I need to message him when we find out what happened with this trial. I have so many questions. But yes, it's definitely Emily definitely has a little bit of the come at me, bro. So that's my high school water polo team. Yes, I was the only girl on my high school water polo team. Yes, my high school did not have a women's water polo team. They had a men's water polo team and me. So yes. Oh, we can't even talk about how thin I was in high school. I will another day chat about my body image in high school and how muscular I was and embarrassed I was by being muscular. So yes, I was the only girl on the team. So that was that. There were lots of dudes. Lots of dudes on my water polo team. And I will not identify the one I've told stories about a few of these gentlemen, but I will not we will not identify anyone by photograph. So there were a number of seniors on our team. Jeremy, the tall gentleman by our coach, was our goalie, was a phenomenal goalie. And I believe was also recruited by USC, but more of us went on to Division One polo from the year ahead of me. So the class of 95, more of them went on to play Division One. He played Division One. I played Division One until I got hurt. He went to too good of a school to have a water polo team because, people get all smart and shit. I don't think he had a team in high school. Anyway, or in college. So that's what it was. That's what it was. High school. Meh. I'll find my college team my college team photo is also in my TED Talk. Where is it? With me throwing up West Side signs because college and because I was one of the few Californians. So this is the UMass ladies. I love this group of women. This is just a tremendous group of athletes. But yes, that is us. That's our silly picture. So that's us. That's our home pool and our very 90s track outfits. Go Mass. So, am I in this picture? I am in this picture. This one's me. This is me being nonsense back over here. This is me. Is my hair up in a messy bun? Yes. Are we throwing up West Side signs? Yes. Look, we're from California. There's things that we do. Things happen. Yes, with a number of them. Unfortunately, we have lost some of our teammates to cancer and other, but yes, and still in touch with a good number of them, more than from my high school team. Though we see social media keeps kind of things in perspective, doesn't it? Yeah, the tracksuits with the zipper legs, and the suits are maroon. I still have one of these jackets somewhere because UMass, they're maroon, and then they're stitched on the back, and they say like UMass in the huge UMass lettering across the back. The way I loved my team jacket. So I still have this in my house somewhere, this jacket. The way I loved our team jackets. You could never get me out of my Boyden Grays. Also, our team clothes got washed by the team. So we had sweats and shorts and shirts and stuff that we could wear for workouts and stuff. Wore them all the time because then you can just drop them in the bin and get clean ones. Emily, how lazy were you in college? Look, ADHD and college don't always go well together because you go and put your clothes in the laundry and then you get distracted. And then hours and hours later, there's just a pile of your wet clothes on the floor somewhere because you forgot that you were in the middle of doing laundry. So I wore my athletic clothes so much because you could just dump them in the locker room and pull a new pair. So all the time. That's all I did. Let's get back to what USC water polo. We were talking about USC water polo is what we were talking about. A good water polo team nonetheless, sassy lawyers nonetheless, and the case goes to the jury. So let's just catch up a little bit on the things that we didn't catch up on because some of the testimony did get cut, and we are going to go from there. Cal State Long Beach has a great club team and a great coach. Their coach back in the day was the Olympic coach. So Cal State has some good stuff. Cal State, well, Long Beach has some incredible high school water polo teams as well. Go Beach! Emily's college laundry routine is such a mood. I used to do my laundry on school breaks only because nobody has that kind of time. I mean, right? I loved that I could just literally throw the clothes in and pull the new ones back. I didn't care how baggy they were. I didn't care how gray they were. I didn't care. I was sick of my wet clothes getting thrown on the floor because I had forgotten them. So I wish I could still do that now. I need to get my kids to do laundry. Then I can't get mad when they mess things up. All right, let us continue with the amazing reporting from Law 360. Thank you, Law 360, for keeping at least me completely up to date on what's going on with this case. So this is from April 6th. What day is it today? Is today the 8th? Is today the 7th? Is this from yesterday or today? Today's the 7th. This is from yesterday. Jurors in the second Varsity Blues trial won't be able to consider an expletive-laden statement. I take issue with an expletive-laden statement. Oh, look, y'all. Thank you, chat. I don't think does one curse word chat. Does one curse word equal expletive-laden? Because I can show you expletive-laden. Does one curse word expletive-laden make? I'm just asking. Jurors in the second Varsity Blues trial won't be able to, because everybody else pled, won't be able to consider an expletive-laden statement attributed to former USC water polo coach after the judge found prosecutors failed to show the coach was part of the admissions conspiracy at the time. The ruling came after the close of evidence in a case alleging that Jovan Vavic accepted bribes in return for passing off underserving wealthy children as recruited athletes. During the trial, the former USC soccer coach, Ali Korosian, testified. I hope that's correct. Korosian, that's the other Coach K, not the basketball Coach K, the soccer Coach K, testified that Vavic attempted to ease his hesitation about joining the scheme in 2009, allegedly saying, "Fuck them, just do it." It's a curse word. I mean, I don't know. You guys are like, no, that's amateur level cursing. Laden means heavily loaded or weighted down. So no, one swear word does not make it expletive laden. I only take issue because I know some expletive laden speech. So fuck them, just do it was, the U.S. judge. It looks like Trelawney to me, but it's not Talwani. Or we just go with Judge Trelawney and we just accept the Harry Potter-ness of it all. It looks like this judge, though, has been through the ringer with these attorneys and is probably fucking exhausted and goes home with some expletive-laden statements regarding all of these attorneys at the end of the day. It's, hey, how was your day? Let me tell you about these motherfuckers today, is I'm sure how that conversation starts. The U.S. District Judge stated that evidence fell short in establishing that Vavic was part of the conspiracy prior to 2013, meaning jurors could not consider the testimony for the truth of the matter asserted. The truth of the matter being that in that statement, fuck them, just do it. He was trying to get someone else to come into the scheme in 2009. Let's see. The jurors can't consider it for the truth of the matter asserted. Well, Korosian testified that he was confident those were the exact words Vavic used. The court found that his supposed, quote, sharp memory was inconsistent with his generally poor recollection. So also didn't find the witness super duper credible. Is that or didn't find their recollection to be spot on, which is interesting too. The judge also adopted a defense put forward by Vavic's team, arguing that Korosian's reference in the 2009 conversation to the situation that Rick had presented could refer to any number of things. The court also discounted a statement that Singer made on a recorded call with Yale University soccer coach Rudy Meredith, where Singer stated or said he started his scheme of admitting fake athletes in exchange for bribes with, quote, the water polo coach who won 6 straight national championships on the men's and women's side, Jovan Vavic. Well, why'd the court discount that? The judge said Singer's words didn't carry much value. Well, he was bragging about it. I wonder what the ruling was. By all accounts, Singer routinely bragged about relationships with high profile and successful individuals to further his own reputation and to cause others to join the scheme with little regard for the veracity of the statements. I mean, I guess that's fair, right? The ruling came down as the attorneys spent the day parsing the legal instructions that the judge will give to the jurors on Thursday before handing them the case to deliberation, which matters. Getting into those rulings very, very much matters. Prosecutors say Vavik accepted bribes in exchange for helping 3 recruits into the selective Los Angeles University and giving them spots on his winning water polo team with no expectation that they'd ever contribute to the team's success. I want to know how tall these people were. It will tell me everything I need to know. They're like, oh no, they were 5'6". Never. This is the tallest water polo team I've ever seen in my life. When we lined up for women's water polo with the USC team, my team, and again, I was one of the shorter people on my team, but my team was like this. Hello, ladies. You're all 6 foot. It's incredible. The way I wouldn't be able to play water polo at a collegiate level today with my short arms and short stature. My brother got literally all of the height and the national championships. Hey. Oh, wait, am I going to hit the right one? Maybe not. Nope. Definitely not the right one. Definitely not the right one today. Where is our sound effects? I can't hear my soundboard at all. Maybe it was one of them. Maybe it was one of them. Oh, because I need to do it this way. There. All right. Anyway, Vavik knew he was running afoul of the law and USC standards, according to the government, which claims he accepted other perks like donations to his water polo program and payments from singers for his son's tuition at a private school. How tall is Emily? Not tall enough. I'm 5'7". Why do you have to be tall to play water polo? I'm going to save that question for later. We will get into it. So it's like volleyball. Height matters. Label the buttons already. I'll get to it at some point. I kind of find the adventure to be novel and fun. Sad thing is I have a label maker. I just find it funny. I was looking for the rim shot. I just forget which one it is. The battles between attorneys have been contentious throughout the trial. On Monday, Vavik attorney Stephen Larson of Larson LLP suggested Assistant U.S. Attorney Stephen Frank should be held in contempt after a veiled attempt to threaten the judge. What the fuck? Earlier in the trial, another Vavik lawyer, Corinne Bell, accused Frank of trying to bully her because she is a woman, and the judge said, without elaborating, that Frank was speaking to her differently than he would to the 2 of her senior colleagues, both of whom are men. So, what's left out of that, and what we read in the article when this was brought up, is the female AUSA stood up and was like, that's not what's happening here. That's not what's happening here. Anyway, so some of the evidence was excluded before this went to the jury. It can't be considered for the truth of the matter. That will come in jury instructions. The jury will be, and it's always interesting because it's like the jury will be told, you can't consider this for the truth of the matter, but you're telling them again, like, remember this thing that was said that you might have forgotten? You can't consider it for these purposes, instead of just like letting it go. So we will see. All right, this is from today at 6:27 p.m. Eastern. A Boston jury heard dueling closing arguments Thursday in the second Varsity Blues trial with prosecutors claiming former college coach recruited phony players in exchange for money, and a defense lawyer alleging the government went too far in bringing an unfair prosecution. That's the most USC argument ever. But Your Honor, it's not fair. We go to USC. We're very rich. Why are we getting prosecuted for just doing rich people shit? The panel will be deliberating the fate of the one-time University of Southern California water polo coach Jovan Vavik on Friday morning, following more than 3 weeks of testimony and 4 hours of attorneys for both sides making their final pitch. Again, if you think attorneys are entertaining in their closing arguments, a lot of the time that's not true. A lot of the time, that's not true. Prosecutors say Vavick worked with William Rick Singer, the scheme's mastermind, to have undeserving applicants admitted to USC. In return, Singer allegedly pumped thousands of dollars into Vavick's program. Where did it go? Like, where did the money going into the water polo program go? There's only so much you can spend on like balls and towels. Like, where did the money go? And paid for his son's tuition at a private Los Angeles high school. Did they go to Loyola? Was that disclosed earlier? I think it was Loyola that it was talked about earlier, which wouldn't surprise me because it's in this world. Assistant U.S. Attorney Leslie Wright repeated a key piece of testimony during closing arguments Thursday, which she said shows Vavick knew he was duping USC into admitting applicants who did not deserve to be there. Fuck them, just do it. That's what the defendant, Jovan Vavick. Wait, didn't the judge rule that they couldn't talk about it? Or couldn't consider it for the truth of the matter? Fuck them, just do it. That's what the defendant, Jovan Vavick, told his fellow defendant, Ali Karosian, when Ali was hesitant to join Rick Singer's scheme to recruit unqualified athletes in exchange for money. Wright told the jury, fuck them, just do it. It'd be so much fun to stand up in a closing and be like, and he said, fuck them, just do it. And then you get to say it again. Like, how many times can we say fuck? But Vavick attorney Larson of Larson LLP countered with there's no real proof the conversation ever really happened, nor is there any proof that the national title winning coach ever knowingly joined Singer's conspiracy. But it's the private school tuition for me. It's the kids' high school private school tuition for me. Y'all let me know. That's what it is for me. Larson's closing stretched more than 2 hours, and he acknowledged its length when the U.S. District Judge took note of the time. Okay, so what that means to me is the judge at one point was like, for the record, it is now 3:03 p.m. Like, the judge orally noted the time for everyone to hear, and the attorney was just like, this is tough. I've got an innocent client sitting here, Larson said. Vouching can't happen in criminal cases, but this is civil. And a very close-minded, a very narrowly focused, and unfair prosecution against him. Remember, the defense gets, oh, no, this is criminal. You can't vouch. Me thinking everything we cover is civil, but this is actually criminal. But he didn't testify, so that kind of helps. But comments on the prosecution happen. However, the defense only gets one crack at it in closing. The prosecution gets a kind of an open close, and then the defense closes, and then the prosecution gets a rebuttal to rebut any holes the defense tried to poke, because the prosecution bears the burden of proof. Prosecutors said Vavick had two recruits, Johnny Wilson and Vanessa Fywell, admitted to USC as fake recruits with fraudulent credentials. I want to know how tall they are. And agreed to engage in a scheme a third time with Augustin Hunez. Wilson's father was one of the two defendants convicted in October during the first Varsity Blues trial. The other father pled guilty and went to prison as part of the scheme. Wright called it a quid pro quo and said Vavick had another name for it, a win-win situation. Well, of course he did. He's a coach. A win-win. You give me money, nothing happens to me. She played a recorded conversation in which Singer eased the mind of the other Hunez's father, who told Singer that his daughter had no business playing on the national title caliber team. Singer, who pled guilty when the scandal was unveiled. Yeah, Singer sung like a fucking canary. I'll plead, I'll plead, I'll plead. I'll plead, I'll plead. Tell them everything. Singer, who pled when the scandal was unveiled, told Hunez not to worry because Vavick is, quote unquote, my guy. That's my guy. Prosecutors said Vavick recruited Hunez without knowing her name because he needed money to cover his program's $100,000 budget shortfall. Look. Where is the money going on this team? Are they flying first class? Look, the UCLA men's water polo team, there were pictures from my brother, and there's been pictures from others of them all traveling and coach together. And these dudes are like shoulder to shoulder, like Well, like a water polo player, like all these 6'4" dudes stuck 3 in a row. Where is the money going? How is there $100,000 budget shortfall? Do they have towel warmers in the locker room? I want to know what kind of fancy shit is happening. Because look, our pool was fucking cold in the morning. It was on the other side of campus where the women worked out, the far side of campus, in the snow. I didn't think it through at UMass, but I was lovely that they had me. Thanks, UMass, even though I graduated from Cal State Long Beach. But that's a story for, well, my TED Talk. All right. Wright also played 2 recorded conversations with Singer in which Vavik acknowledged the tuition payments for his kids. When asked whether Singer could holler at him if he had another water polo recruit because of what he had done for Vavik's sons, Vavik answered, absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect. Perfect. Larson argued that Singer, who once again did not take the witness stand, lied to Vavik and made it seem like his foundation frequently paid high school tuition for exceptional students, allegedly conning Vavik. Look, he's like Erica Jane. He's the victim. Conning Vavik just like he conned everyone else. Though I will say, the USC men's water polo team does train in Hawaii in the summer for an extended period of time. So maybe it's the training in Hawaii, though UMass, after I left, did do some training in Puerto Rico. They never trained in Hawaii before their water polo program got axed. Dr. Riley and I are just having our own conversation. I was in JQA. Let's continue. With that, Wright also played 2 recorded conversations with Singer in which, holler at him. Yep. Larson argued that Singer, who once again did not take the witness stand, lied to Vavik. He's a victim here. He was lied to. Tom Girardi lied to him. What? Nola Ray, why do they train in Hawaii? Because the water is really pretty there. The defense also argued that the admissions process at USC was corrupt by design. Oh, it's not the coach's fault that USC is a corrupt institution. The defense argued that the admissions process at USC was corrupt by design, with spots frequently going to those whose families had sizable pocketbooks they were willing to open for the school. Weird. Quote, they didn't want to be seen publicly as who they really are. It's all about this wink and a nod, Larson said. You don't want this rat out there that USC is a place you can buy your way into. Everyone knows that USC is a place you can buy your way into. What are you talking about? Okay. The defense also argued that Singer worked with a corrupt USC official who admitted guilt in the scheme, Donna Heinel, without involving USC coaches directly. Wright called the defense a sideshow and said that if other people at USC were engaged in this practice, they are also breaking the law. Quote, pretending to recruit unqualified candidates to get them in based on falsified credentials in exchange for money is wrong, the prosecutor said, no matter where the money goes or who else is doing it. Yeah, it's like, but they did it too. Mom, they're doing it too. Prior to closing arguments, the judge ruled that the trial evidence fell short in establishing that Vavik was part of the conspiracy prior to 2013, so jurors can't consider the expletive-laden statement. There we are again with the one thing being expletive-laden. Something very loud just happened in my house. The jury heard from more than 24 witnesses during the trial, which was paused for nearly a week when the judge tested positive for the COVID-19. The case had been hotly contested between the parties, with tempers flaring more than once, with Vavik's lawyers accusing Frank of trying to bully the judge and opposing counsel, and Frank repeatedly expressing frustration with the judge's rulings. Yeah, it seems like everything was really happy in that courtroom. Larson told the jury he's walked into courthouses every day past the Boston Tea Party Museum and said the nation's founders would probably not have envisioned a day when a USC water polo coach was on trial over whether Johnny Wilson should have been admitted or not. What is that argument even anyway? What is that? I've got it. What? The defense attorney told the jury he's walked to the courthouse every day past the Boston Tea Party Museum and said that the nation's founders would probably not have envisioned a day when a USC water polo coach was on trial over whether Johnny Wilson should have been admitted or not. Quote, one thing that they would have seen is that sometimes the government goes too far, and you need to stand up to that, Larson said. You need to say no. Look, first of all, I don't think the founders of our country played water polo. Second of all, they had no concept of California. Third of all, I don't think they envisioned a world where it was odd for rich people to buy their way into school. There's so many things that just aren't working in this argument. There was this one time, a defense attorney I really, really liked. His client was just so guilty. And part of his closing argument was to talk about the right to a public trial and to dramatically fling the doors open at the back of the courtroom and yell into the hallway, "Trials are public." And then I had to try to sit there with a straight face. It was impossible. It always made me want to laugh, which in a closing argument, if someone else is not appropriate, they can do their sideshow. That's their job. They're defense attorneys. We can't hold them to task for being defense attorneys. It's literally their job. So we should probably talk about Britney Spears. Are you guys ready to talk about Britney Spears? It is. Jamila's like, honey, that is a reach. It is a reach. It is such a reach that the Boston Tea Party Museum is like, they never would have imagined that a coach was bribing to get kids into USC. No, they wouldn't have. But what's your point? Emily, are you enjoying your whiskey tonight? Very much. Thank you for asking. I can't drink much more of it because I have a hair appointment tomorrow morning very early. Okay, we need to talk about Britney Spears' fucking mom. Look, I'm just going to say, when I get into lawsuits, I generally just want to look at what's being argued and see what flushes out. The Britney Spears conservatorship's a little bit different because I'm so opposed to some of these things. So, do I have an opinion on this one? Yes. Yes, I do. Do I think Britney Spears' mother should be getting her lawyers paid for? No. No, I don't. So we're going to talk about it. So if you haven't been following everything that's going on with the Britney Spears conservatorship, I absolutely get it. Britney's mom inserted herself in the conservatorship way too late, in my opinion, but inserted herself into the conservatorship and then wanted to take credit for like getting stuff done, and now wants her attorneys paid for to the tune of a lot of fucking money. With that, she filed a motion for her lawyers did. She filed a motion for attorney's fees. I was like, no, what we're not going to do, no. So if you want to see how I feel about all of it, I have a video where I break that down line by line with all of my rage. Britney had a hearing on this yesterday. Before that, Britney filed objections to the motion for lawyer fees, which we're going to go through. And then Lynne Spears responded, which we're also going to go through. But first, we're going to work backwards and we're going to go through the minute order and see what the court ruled. You guys saw me go over the notes from the probate notes. The probate notes indicated that they weren't seeing how attorney's fees were legally justified. I agree. How are you inserting yourself into a matter and be like, pay my bills? And then in my head, it went, pay my bills, which is like the tune of Say My Name, but also pay my bills. But like, then like it got like it mashed up instead of, can you pay my bills? Can you pay my credit card bills? There we go. We found what we were thinking of. Instead of Say My Name. Say my name. When no one is around you, say, baby, I love you. All right, my brain. My brain conflated both. We just did a mashup of bills, and say my name. I don't know what happened. All right, here's the minute order from April 6th. Nature of the proceedings. Petition allowance of fees filed on November 1st, 2021 by Yasha Bronstein. The following parties were present for the aforementioned hearing. Oh, who was all present? Geraldine A. Wild, Gladstone Jones, Lynn Swanson, Yasha Bronstein, Matthew Rosengart, Sean Hanley. Sean, who's you? Who are you, Sean? I have questions. Matter is called for hearing. Court takes testimony. Court finds that objections as well as reply have recently been filed. Yeah, the day before. They were filed the day before. The court continues the matter for recently filed documents to review and fold into the probate notes. The court finds that additional evidence by supplemental declaration or additional documentation is required to grant the matter on calendar. We don't need to grant it. We don't need to grant it. What? To grant or deny is what you mean. Is there a tentative ruling? Because I don't think so. Grant or deny are the words that you want in this minute order. But it says grant the matter on calendar. This date based upon a reading of the moving papers and consider all presented evidence. The petition allowance of fees filed on November 1st is continued till Wednesday, July 20th, 2022. July 20th is actually my wedding anniversary. At 1:30 p.m. in this department. Hopefully we'll get the gift of just saying no to these attorney's fees. That would be great. That would be fantastic. I don't know. It's our wedding. We got married July 20, 2002. Cause we're old. All right. We're rocking it. I'm not getting rid of the gray stripe though. We're keeping the gray stripe when we go to the galaxy here. Let's look at Britney's objections before we look at Lynn's reply, shall we? Let's see what Britney's objecting to. I object. She says, I object. Thank you in the chat. Corinne, Sean Hanley works for Weingarten. Great. Just keeping an eye on things. Of course. All right. Objection. Let's go. Rotten Ralph's like, I'm a little drunk. Good. Rotten Ralph, join the party. The more we stream, the later in the week it gets. The harder the whiskey hits. All right. In the conservatorship of Britney Spears objections to Lynne Spears' November 1st, 2021 petition for payment of attorney's fees because it's dumb. Please tell me that that's in here somewhere. Hey, this is dumb. Well, Danny Duncan, my anniversary is literally on the day you were born. Happy upcoming 20th birthday. And yes, I apparently I was getting married while you were getting born. Congratulations. Introduction. In their November 1st petition, Lynne Spears said all kinds of crazy shit. Like that Britney should pay her legal fees. Lynne Spears and her counsel seek payment of legal fees and costs from Britney Spears of more than $660,000. Ugh. The people that want a piece of, do you want a piece of me? Britney Spears opposes the petition in its entirety. Yes, please. For the following reasons, including that as an overriding matter, she should not have been thrust into this dispute. Well, she thrust herself into this dispute. She was like, Coach, put me in. They're like, you're not on the team, though. What are you doing? And she's like, I'm here. I'm just here. I am present. First and most fundamentally, we love the Rosengart writing. First and most fundamentally, there's no legal authority supporting the position. Accurate. Indeed, as the court's probate notes provide. Ooh, they cited the probate notes. We talked about the probate notes. Everybody can talk about the probate notes. Petitioner has, quote, not established any authority for the payment of attorney's fees for third parties. And moreover, the, quote, common fund doctrine set forth in the petition does not apply because all funds belong to the former conservatee Britney. Probate notes, March 28, 2022. Capitalized emphasis in original, other emphasis added. For those reasons alone, the petition must be denied. Yep. Agreed. But I love when they use the court's own words nothing is more powerful, use the court's own words to remind the court what they're going to do. Love it. Love it. Love it. Second, Britney Spears has for decades. Ooh, we need to get dramatic reading voice. I hear it. I hear it coming. Second, Britney Spears has for decades been her family's sole breadwinner, supporting her entire family. By way of illustration only, her father, James Yeated Spears, who has a long history of financial mismanagement prior to the conservatorship, including tax liens, mortgage defaults, failed business ventures, and a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, enriched himself as conservator, receiving more than $6 million from Britney Spears' estate in compensation, fees, and commissions, profiting handsomely from her very hard work, even though as a fiduciary, not her legal, management, or talent representative. Footnote 1. Mr. Spears also paid his many and other lawyers lavishly, paying them millions from Britney's estate. Note, his lawyers are still asking for millions from Britney's estate. Indeed, Mr. Spears' financial condition was so dire in 2008 that he borrowed at least $40,000 from TriStar Sports and Entertainment shortly before he hired TriStar to serve as Britney Spears' manager, placed Britney Spears into a conservatorship, and then promptly sent her on a lengthy and grueling 97-show international tour and on to other work, from which he obtained millions. Footnote 2. See Liz Day. Hey, Liz Day. And the wonderful work over at the New York Times. Britney Spears felt trapped. Her business manager benefited the New York Times article. As the New York Times reported, the existence of the TriStar loan is troubling. Troubling's mild. Troubling's mild. For another reason, as aptly articulated by Anthony Palomrini, incoming president of the National Guardianship Association, an organization representing conservators, Mr. Palmeri, Mr. P, yes, stated that it makes me wonder where the allegiance lies. No shit. In the conservator making decisions in the best interest of the conservatee or the business manager who they owe a debt to. It reeks of conflict of interest. It sure does reek. Reek's a great word for this. See also California Rules of Court governing conservatorships. The conservator must avoid actual conflicts of interest and, consistent with his or her fiduciary duty to the conservatee, the appearance of conflicts of interest. Further, the conservator must avoid any personal, business, or professional interest or relationship that is or reasonably could be perceived to be self-serving or adverse to the best interest of the conservatee. However, Yeated negotiated a percentage of her tour for himself as her conservator. Emily, it sounds like you can't do that. No, you can't. Sure can't. Indeed, Mr. Spears' financial condition was so, we talked about the loan. We got to footnote 2. For her part, and while she and James Spears are most certainly not in peri delicto, we love it. In view of the petition, it warrants noting that Lynne Spears has for at least a decade resided in a large, expensive house owned by Britney Spears in Kentwood, Louisiana, for which her daughter has also continuously and generously paid Lynne Spears' utilities, telephone services, insurance, property taxes, landscaping, pool work, pest control, repairs, and maintenance, totaling approximately $1.7 million. Footnote 3. As set forth in the January 13, 2022 declaration of ex-FBI Special Agent Shireen Edeby, we loved that declaration. The exorbitant expenses paid by the estate via James Spears, including for repairs and renovations, approximately $178,000 of which was paid to, quote, advanced multimedia partners, the company of James Watson III, Jamie Lynne Spears' husband, and James Spears' son-in-law, significantly exceeded the value of the house. Woof. For these reasons and others, in addition to fundamental principles of law, the equities also overwhelmingly favor Britney Spears not having to pay her mom's lawyers. Yep. Third, even if, even if, arguendo, even if there were a cognizable legal basis for the petition, and there is not, the petition is nonetheless deficient for its failure to provide the information and specificity required by the rules of court for even legally authorized petitions. This is not an issue the court need even address, however, given the lack of legal authority. Your Honor, don't worry about it. They have no basis in law. Like, we don't need to get past paragraph 1. No basis in law. I'm not pleased this wasn't just denied, by the way. Like, just mount up and ride at this point. Mount up and ride. In short, the petition cites no authority at all, probably because there's none, to support the conclusion that a conservatorship estate, or in this case, a former conservator's estate, can be held financially responsible for the attorney fees of a third party like petitioner here. This is because the law does not condone the shift of financial liability proposed in the petition. Well, petitioner had the right to hire and pay for her own counsel from her own funds. This is, in effect, an issue between Lynne Spears and her lawyers, and there is no legal basis for placing Britney Spears in the middle of it. And again, respectfully, as a matter of law, petitioner is simply not within the category of persons who can petition to have their legal fee obligations shifted to a conservatee. Footnote 4. The undersigned means no disrespect to petitioner and her counsel, but opposes the petition pursuant to instructions and applicable law. Rosengart, it's okay to tell them to just fuck off. Like, I appreciate that you're working with Lynne Spears. I appreciate the collegialness of, like, we don't mean any disrespect, but pay for your own lawyers. But for fuck's sake, pay for your own lawyers. If Britney wanted to pay for the lawyers, she could. She shouldn't be forced to by the court. There is no legal basis or authority supporting Lynne Spears' petition for payment from the conservatorship estate. Accurate. As noted above, the courts, and as the court's probate notes already provide, petitioner has cited no authority because there isn't any. The fees and costs at issue cannot be foisted onto Britney Spears, who has already paid many millions for court-appointed counsel for the conservator of the person or of the estate, counsel for conservator of the person, and others, all while very generously providing a beautiful home for her mother and paying all associated expenses. All. Accordingly, there's no legal authority in support of the petition, and the petition grasps at other provisions, it didn't say straws, at other provisions of the probate code potentially applicable only to persons other than herself, such as the person who petitions for the appointment of a conservator. In tacit recognition of this manifest lack of authority, there's a sentence. In tacit recognition of this manifest lack of authority, look, law students, paralegals, and others, Rosengart's firm is one of the numerous firms whose writing that I quite like. Not only is it sassy, it is well used, but it is not overly pretentious. It is fairly crisp. I would liken it to a rosé that I enjoy. It is crisp. It is nice. It has a little sass. We like it. This is the writing that we strive for. When I sit here and scratch my head and go, is it the sentence or is it me? That is not easily read. And if it helps, read what you write out loud so you can hear it back. Because look, the writing that comes out of this firm is fantastic. We love. In tacit recognition of this manifest lack of authority, the petition half-heartedly cites the principles of general equity, common fund cases, and public benefit and private attorney general cases. None of these alternative theories apply here. Initially, and once again, as the probate notes provide, remember, Your Honor, as you said it, The common fund doctrine set forth in the petition does not apply because all funds belong to the former conservatee Britney. We're not going to get into why they don't apply and the law on them not applying. They don't apply. It just doesn't apply. It just doesn't apply. But I appreciate the citing of the case law saying that they don't apply. The petition's remaining theories are equally unsupportable. I was hoping that was going to say unstable. I was hoping it was going to say equally unstable. I'm not disappointed. The petition's remaining theories are equally unsupportable. They also conflict with one another. On the one hand, the petition contends that Britney Spears should pay for Lynne Spears' lawyers as a matter of equity because Lynne Spears hired them in an effort to help Britney Spears bridge the gap resulting from her inability to hire counsel of her choosing because the court was blocking it. And her father. In other words, the petition contends that Lynne Spears' efforts and the interests of Britney were aligned. On the other hand, the petition conversely contends that Britney Spears should pay Lynne Spears' lawyers under a private attorney general theory because the public received a benefit. Y'all feel benefited? Public? Even if that were true, with respect, Lynne Spears is not in a position to avail herself of the private attorney general statute. She was not acting as a quote unquote private attorney general. And we're not going to go through the statute. It's an opposing party statute. She was not intervening in that way. It doesn't apply. Little more needs to be said about the principles of equity, but more is going to be said. Which actually compel the denial of the petition. This petition seeks to foist upon Britney Spears the expense of lawyers that were not hired by her or any other person authorized by statute to seek fees from the conservatorship estate. Under the petition's fee-shifting theory, quite literally, any interested person who is able to hire counsel and involve themselves in the conservatorship proceeding can seek to shift legal fees obligated to the protected person by claiming some benefit was conferred. It'd be like all of us hiring an attorney or me and just being like, we're here, Britney. We are taking part. Now pay us. No. I can't, you guys, we can't go to code red yet. The objections aren't fuckery. Lynne's motion is fuckery. That's why it feels red, but we've got to get to Lynne's response. Like we've got to hold out. More fuckery is afoot, but this objection's not fuckery. The objection's right. The objections are to the fuckery. So that's why we're not DEFCON red just yet. From the very beginning of this conservatorship, and long before, Britney Spears has paved the way for everyone who has entered the orbit of the conservatorship. Her father, family members, her father's lawyers, and many others who have benefited from her tireless work and extraordinary talent and success. Success! If Britney Spears, now at last a free woman, hopefully Britney loves it. Do they tell her, hey, Britney, we talked about how great you are. If Britney Spears, now at last a free woman, were to voluntarily agree that Lynne Spears should receive an additional payment from her, that would be her choice. It's like I said that. Oh, Krista, yes, we can go orange. I agree with you. We can go where there is fuckery afoot for sure. There is fuckery afoot for sure. Debbie, I mean, I feel like that's their theory. Everyone can just, you get paid and you get paid and you get paid. The petition is entirely unsupported by law or equity and must be rejected. Yep. Even if there were a legal basis for the petition, and there's not, the petition is objectionable and fails on a myriad of other grounds. Oh, tell us more. How do you fail? First, the petition does not comply with California rules of court. The petition seeks $663,222.84 in fees and costs from Britney Spears, even with Jones Swanson's fees discounted by 40% for services ranging from a top-down review of the conservatorship to pushing for a corporate fiduciary to be put in place with no indication of actual specific tasks at issue. Among other deficiencies, the petition does not determine the actual nature and difficulty of the task performed under the rules of court. Second, the petition does not adequately demonstrate the need or clear benefit or appropriately credit Britney Spears. If the petition has a theme, is it that Britney's mommy loves her? Is it that Britney's mommy loves her? If the petition has a theme, it's that the efforts of Lynne Spears and her counsel, quote, achieved Lynne's mission, end quote. Achieved Lynne's mission. The petition essentially credits petitioner and her counsel with virtually every accomplishment realized by Britney Spears in this proceeding. With respect, even putting aside that the petition ignores the efforts of the court itself, it also minimizes the extraordinary tenacity and perseverance of Britney Spears herself. I don't remember which one's the cheering one. I'm hoping that's the cheering. I'm hoping so much that that's the cheering. Who objects to the petition? Third, the cost of educating counsel may not be passed on. The petition states that Joan Swanson needed to educate themselves about the conservatorship and probate court rules. You have to pay for that time yourself. Let's see. Although the petition does not specify the amount of time devoted to this undertaking, it does indicate that Joan Swanson's partners alone spent $346,500 on non-specific client intake meetings and communications. $182,000 on strategy, research, collaboration, review of documents, preparation for, and attendance in meetings. $210,000 on correspondence, telephone calls, including preparation, and emails. Once again, with respect, these are issues that should be between petitioner and her counsel. Fourth, if no billing details provided, which is a fundamental omission in the petition also fails to address duplication of efforts, which is attorneys for multiple firms doing the same shit and then trying to bill for it. Wherefore, Britney respectfully asks the court to deny this shit in its entirety. Service list. Let's get to Lynne's response. With that, I realized we went yellow and not super, super orange. Oh, yes, Pat Austin, there are no horses involved in the playing of the water polo. I thought that we had gone more orange than this. I need a Code Fred button. I have my yellow button, but I need a full like Code Fred button back here. So let me try to get to a little bit more orange. 1 second, see what we can do here. How orange can we get? That's pretty orange. We'll go with that. That's a little bit more orange. All right. Let us see what Lynne Spears had to say in reply to this petition. All right. Cause man, I agree. Gingeroo, Britney is trying to move on with her life and doesn't need this crap. I agree. I mean, we're getting closer and closer to red. We're at like DEFCON Fred fuckery afoot. I think fuckery afoot is where we were with yellow. I think they're still on my Twitter. We had a whole ranking system, but we always just went straight to red. So now we've got Fred and red. So this was filed. This matters. This was filed at on April 5th at 2:32 p.m. Let me see when the other one was filed. Lynne Spears' team probably had it before the objections got filed, I would assume, but I want to see what the filing stamp is. So, because when court documents are filed, they have a stamp, and that's how you know they're from the court and not a cult, but I'm just saying. 4/5/2022 at 9:34 a.m. They probably had this or had a heads up of the objection before it was filed. So, but this was filed at 9:30 in the morning. This one was filed at 2:30 in the afternoon. They probably didn't do this same day. They probably had it beforehand because when you meet and confer, you send the other side the documents before you file them. All right. Reply in support of petition for payment of attorney's fees and costs advanced. Okay, Lynne. What now? What now? Introduction. The objection of former conservative Britney Jean Spears to the petition for fees incurred by her mother, who loves her, Lynne Spears, in helping to free Miss Spears from the conservatorship as requested by the former conservatee, is quite an astounding turn of events. Wait, you're surprised? What? I'm sorry. What? What? It's they said it's this is a first look, by the way. I have not read this. I downloaded it today. This is an astounding turn of events that Britney would object to paying over $500,000 for her mom's lawyers. If she wanted to pay it, she would fucking Venmo you. I mean, it's probably not okay to Venmo somebody $500,000. There's probably like things that have to happen, but she has control of her own money. If she wanted to pay you, she could. Holy shit. That's in the first sentence. This might win as a new first sentence that just kind of pulls us all in. This is quite an astounding. It's an astounding turn of events. It's not a murderous conspiracy, folks. It's an astounding turn of events. Is it astounding because Britney's just paid for everything forever because her conservatorship kept signing off on it? Is that why it's astounding that she objected to paying your lawyer fees? I already hate this. I'm surprised that you're surprised. Like, I'm surprised by your surprise. As laid out in more detail in the petition, when Miss Spears was sent to a medical facility against her will in early 2019, she was desperate to get out and to change the course of the conservatorship and its leadership. Leadership who had placed her into that facility. At that time of crisis, Miss Spears pleaded with her mother to find a way to get involved in the conservatorship to obtain relief from the incredibly abusive acts of her father, the then conservator of both the person and the estate of Miss Spears. If that's true, Britney can pay you. It shouldn't be ordered by the court. Lynne Spears contractually agreed to pay the fees and costs of the undersigned's attorneys. So pay them, Lynne. Petitioner respectfully avers that her involvement in the matter at hand signified the beginning of the end of Miss Spears' conservatorship. I'm sorry, how many years ago was that? Because it seems like when Rosengart got involved, that shit ended in like 6 months. Just saying. I'm going to have to drink more water. As Miss Spears' direct entry, there's no way I'm pronouncing that. That's not happening. That is not happening. In May 2019, Lynne Spears moved the court for special notice to allow her to formally participate in the conservatorship as an interested party through her attorneys with the law firms of Jones, Swanson, Huddle, and Dashbach, formerly Jones, Swanson, Huddle, and Garrison, and Ginsburg Bronstein. Two law firms. Dos amigos. The mission of these attorneys, as set forth by both Miss Spears and her mother, was to push Miss Spears' court-appointed counsel to exact modification to the medical treatment of Miss Spears, including changes to doctors and prescription medication, to exact change in the personal restrictions of the conservator was imposing on her life, and to start the ball rolling towards the removal of her father, Jamie Spears, as her conservator of both the person and the estate, and ultimately to end the conservatorship. And which of those things happened before Rosengart was involved in the case? Please enlighten me. I would love to hear it. Until Lynne Spears became involved, the conservatorship had been proceeding for over a decade without much objection, at the fault of Britney's court-appointed counsel, at least. It was a crisis that prompted Britney to come to court in May 2019 with her mother and her mother's counsel to aggressively point out the failures of the conservatorship in terms of her medical treatment, the drugs she had been prescribed over her strong objection, and the personal restrictions under which she was being forced to live. They're just going to mention it all, which also is probably not good for Britney to just continue to spill the tea and be like, but we did such a good job. It's yeeted that you're mad at. Pay for our lawyers. The drugs she had been prescribed over her strong objection and the personal restrictions under which she was being forced to live, all examples of Jamie Spears' abusing his power in the conservatorship. Let these two just keep fighting in court documents and trying to charge Britney for it. Sure, y'all are just going to piss on each other in all of these court documents. The court and all involved will no doubt remember the strength of Miss Spears on May 10th, 2019. Let's tell us about it. Tell us about it. Because when Britney came to court in June, oh my God, my throat. When Britney came to court in June of 2021, what she said was no one listened to her in May 2019, and it made her feel like she was dead. I remember that very clearly from that June hearing. All right. The court and all involved, except for Rosengard because he wasn't here yet, will no doubt remember the strength of Miss Spears on May 10th, 2019, the first day Miss Spears and her mother walked into court together. Remember the time? Yeah, y'all are like, we're going, I mean, I think, are we at full fuckery? Were we at full fuckery from sentence one? Motion granted. We'll go to DEFCON red. I mean, I feel like we got there at the beginning in the very first line that this was so unexpected. We're going to go to DEFCON red. Motion granted. DEFCON red is flashy for all of you that are flash sensitive. The flashy will end when the music does. We're going to DEFCON red in 3, 2, 1. We're red, y'all. Let's continue parsing through. It's kind of the perfect fuckery for the end of the week, isn't it? It's just like, oh, here we go. Okay. Britney and her mommy walk into court hand in hand in May 2019. Recognizing that day as a starting point, it becomes much easier to recognize the important benchmarks along the way. Ooh, goody. We're going to walk through it. Relatively quickly after that day, there were considerable changes to Miss Spears' medical treatment, and many of the restrictions in her personal life were lifted. Within 1 month of Lynne Spears becoming formally involved, for example, the personal restrictions on Miss Spears began to be removed. She went pretty quickly from that medical facility to a somewhat publicized vacation in Miami, Florida. Within 3 months of Lynne Spears' formal involvement, Miss Spears' medical treatment was dramatically modified. Why does it feel like they're like, here, Britney, you can go on vacation. See, it's fine now. She's not a child. Within 3 months of Lynne Spears' formal involvement, Miss Spears' medical treatment was dramatically modified. Within 5 months, is Lynne her doctor now? Within 5 months of Lynne Spears' involvement and at her attorney's insistent urging in open court and otherwise in and before September 2019, during which hearing Lynne Spears' counsel agreed to push for James Spears' removal until the newly minted temporary conservator of the person could get her feet under her. Jamie Spears resigned as Miss Spears' conservator of the person. No, he didn't. He temporarily stepped down to allow for a temporary conservator. He never fully resigned. Jamie Spears resigned as Miss Spears' conservator of the person, and Miss Spears was given the right to choose her own doctor from the new conservator of the estate or the person. Within 1 year, again, with Lynne Spears' attorney's unrelenting pressure after lengthy in person meetings with court appointed counsel as to the correct checks and balances on the estate side of the conservatorship, given the resignation of Andrew Wallet, Miss Spears' court appointed counsel finally requested that a professional fiduciary be appointed as conservator of the estate. Lynne Spears' counsel were prepared, willing, and able to make the application if he did not. So was the work duplicated? Within a year and a half of Miss Spears' mother's participation and during the dark days of the COVID-19 pandemic, Miss Spears' court-appointed counsel finally moved to bring in litigation counsel for the purpose of removing James Spears. James Yeated responded in like manner and hired litigation counsel, who he then approved and paid exorbitant fees to for no benefit to Miss Spears. Well, yeah, but he's the conservator. And those fees are still being fought over. Those fees are still at issue. Your Honor, Yeated paid his own attorneys. Why can't we pay mine? He's the conservator. The law allows for his attorney's fees to be paid. The law doesn't allow for your attorney fees to be paid. Just because Sam Ingham seemed to not exactly be doing his job doesn't mean your attorneys get paid from the conservator ship. Within 2 years and 6 months after the strong emotional plea to the court by Miss Spears in June 2021, and after Lynne Spears' attorneys filed a petition for authority to hire a private attorney of Miss Spears' own choosing, Miss Spears was finally afforded the right to choose her own legal counsel. In June 2021, July, I think is when Rosengart came in. And then the conservatorship ended in what, like September? So like 3 months, 4 months? Not 2.5 years. Subsequently, she was freed from the conservatorship. A lot of work went into freeing Britney from a lot of supporters, not the least of which were Miss Spears herself and the court. However, it is undeniable that but for Lynne Spears, Mommy loves you, Britney, but for Lynne Spears' support as a mother, look, you're asking for $600,000 of legal fees. And then it's going to be, but the work of a mother. The work of a mother. Okay. A lot of work went into freeing Britney from a lot of supporters, not the least of which were Miss Spears herself and the court. However, it is undeniable that but for Lynne Spears' support as a mother and her lawyer's relentless advocacy in attempting to modify and terminate the conservatorship over those 2.5 years, the status quo would have continued. Lynne Spears' attorney's efforts to change her daughter's life as requested by Miss Spears are more fully laid out in her petition. Yeah, we went over that. Petitioners suggest that affirmative answers to the following questions will show the court that Lynne Spears' efforts resulted in a successful mission to push Miss Spears' court-appointed counsel to exact modification to the medical treatment of Miss Spears. Right. He's the only one that could do it. They got nothing done. So are they saying they should get paid for getting Sam Ingham to work? Is that what we're getting paid for? We're getting paid for getting Sam Ingham to do work? What I haven't heard yet, what page are we on of this? We're on page 4. Has anyone heard any law yet? Have we talked about the law? Has there been any law? Have we cited the law in this reply? The law says we're entitled to this because of... I'm waiting. Because Rosengart's objection starts out with the law says nah. So this reply should start out with, we respectfully disagree. Here's the law that says yes. This is like a PR puff piece of why Lynne Spears is a great mom. Woo! Okay. Lynne Spears' attorney's efforts to change her daughter's life as requested by Ms. Spears are more fully laid out in her petition. We went over that. Petitioner suggests that affirmative answers to the following. Okay. Have we gotten to the affirmative answers yet? Where did I go? All right. Ingham started to work. Personal restrictions were lifted and started the ball rolling towards the removal of her father, yeeted as conservator, and ultimately end the conservatorship. Did Miss Spears urge her mother to enter the case as an interested party? Yes. And that is why they entered the courtroom arm in arm in May 2019. Your Honor, they held hands. Obviously, that is all we need. We do not look to case law, you will not find it. Do not look to authorities, nay, you will not find them either. But they walked into court hand in hand in 2019. Obviously, a check should be cut and the court should force it. If Britney wanted to pay this, she could have. Clearly, she doesn't want to. Did Lynne Spears' actions prod Miss Spears' court-appointed prod? Like a cattle prod, just like, come on, buddy, do something, do your work. Did Lynne Spears' actions prod Miss Spears' court-appointed counsel, who's getting paid like $500,000 a year, to move out of his comfort zone to exact change? Yes. Okay. Court-appointed counsel was comfortable with the status quo. Look, we agree on something. We agree on something. It's always nice to find a point of agreement in any legal proceeding. We can all agree on that. Let's all agree to that. Yep. Totally comfortable, making a lot of money, not rattling a lot of cages. Where I lost my mind. Okay. Court-appointed counsel was comfortable with the status quo. He pushed back on Lynne Spears' assertion that Miss Spears was in a medical facility against her will. He pushed back in September of 2019 to Lynne Spears moving to have James Spears removed completely from the conservatorship. So why didn't anyone go to court and say fraud is happening here? Like, all of you didn't speak up nearly enough. He took his time in moving for a professional fiduciary and for litigation counsel. So why didn't you file it? He failed to object to James Spears' counsel's outrageous fees. Then why didn't you file it? He failed to file a second removal petition after the court denied the first with very clear direction that she would consider a second. So then why didn't you file it? If you want to get paid, you're telling me all the things he didn't do, then why didn't you do it then? The objection seems to suggest that Lynne Spears' actions likewise had little to do with the court removing Mr. Spears and terminating the conservatorship. No, it doesn't. It says there's no legal basis to pay you, with respect and peace and love. However, based on the 2.5 years of her participation in this conservatorship, Lynne Spears respectfully suggests that that is not the case at all. The multiple rounds of bringing to the attention of the court the wrongs and the terribly toxic environment under which this conservatorship existed showed that the conservatorship was untenable. But nothing happened until the very end. Where is the law? Like, we've got a lot of talky talk, but what I'm not seeing is like a case citation. Nothing's in italics. Like, where is the law? Did Lynne Spears' efforts make a difference in Miss Spears' life? That's not a legal standard, though. Bro, that's not a legal standard, though. You don't get legal fees just 'cause. Okay. Did Lynne Spears' efforts make a difference in Britney Spears' life? Did she do what her daughter asked and provide value to the quality of her life as a result of her participation? This is a resounding yes. If that's true, I'm sure that Britney would be happy to write her a check out of gratitude. She has the money. She's tired of being forced to pay. Nothing blocks her from paying it. If she sees it this way, then she can do it. This is a resounding yes. From exacting changes to doctors and drugs and personal freedoms, like what? To advocating for professional fiduciaries to completely replace Jamie Spears, which didn't happen. To objecting to Holland and Knight's outrageous fees. Outrageous. They are. Those are still being objected to, but the objections are filed by Ingham. To petitioning for Miss Spears to be afforded the authority to hire private counsel of her choosing, which the court granted on their own motion. To supporting Jamie Spears' removal and termination of the conservatorship. Great. You did a thing. You supported removing a toxic situation from your daughter's life. Good. None of these things were being advocated aggressively by anyone when Miss Spears asked her mother, Lynne Spears, to participate. Ultimately, so wait a second. Is this what's happening here? That they are saying that Britney had to beg her mother to get involved because it was so toxic. And because Britney was like, please help me, her mother finally got off her ass and got involved and is now turning around and said, you asked for my help. You can pay for it. Is that what's happening here? Because in earlier petitions, Lynne had made it seem like she saw what was happening and was horrified and thrusted herself into this conservatorship. And this filing is making it sound like Britney begged me to get involved. So if Britney begged you to get involved, is that because you weren't going to get involved? And if you weren't going to get involved, then why the fuck not? But either way, getting involved doesn't legally entitle you to get paid. None of these things were being advocated aggressively by anyone when Miss Spears asked her mother, Lynne Spears, to participate. Mom, can you show up for me, please? Most parents, when they're asked to show up because they're parents. And that is what you do as a parent. Ultimately, the efforts of Lynne Spears and her counsel resulted in Miss Spears' freedom today. Wow. That one takes the cake. Rosengart, you're like, wow, really? Your efforts resulted in her freedom today. It's like, well, no. This is like Shannon wanting to be thanked again and again on Real Housewives of Orange County because she introduced Gina to her attorney. And it was like, oh, thank you. Oh, no, thank you. It's like, what? Because you filed a motion that the court didn't even grant to have Britney get her own lawyer. The court granted that because Britney came to court and said, literally everyone, I want everyone in jail. What the fuck? That's what Britney said in court. That's why she got her own lawyer. She came to court and stood up and said, no one is listening to me and I'm done. Woo! Ultimately, the efforts of Lynne Spears and her counsel resulted in Miss Spears' freedom today. Wow. It's a bold claim. Because Miss Spears asked her mother to make these efforts. So again, Lynne didn't interject. Britney asked her to. So why did Lynne say she interjected of her own in earlier filings? I have questions. But now it's like, well, Britney asked me to, so she should pay for it. Britney invited me to dinner. She should pay for it. Britney invited me into her conservatorship because she felt like she was being abused by her father, so she should pay for it. Because Miss Spears asked her mother to make these efforts, and because these efforts were very successful, I have questions. Petitioner believes the equities run in favor of Miss Spears' estate or trust compensating for those efforts. While acknowledging that the requested fee is in the six figures, petitioner respectfully suggests that the request pales in comparison to the millions and millions of dollars that were spent by James Spears to keep Miss Spears in her untenable conservatorship. And for that, he will get his comeuppance. But that's not leverage here. And to perform activities that Miss Spears did not request and that were not in her best interest. And that is on them. Okay, we're on page 5. I think I've fake thrown up like twice, maybe just once. It will happen again, I'm sure. Attorney's fees and cost advance. Lynne Spears incurred attorney's fees due to actions that were executed in good faith, okay, and served the former conservatee's best interest. Her petition seeks payment of attorney's fees for those actions. It seeks fees in connection with the representation of Lynne Spears as an interested party. And the law allows for this by how? Fees and cost advance. As set forth more fully in her petition, Lynne Spears retained these firms, two firms, for legal services. Counsel for Lynne Spears advanced cost in connection with their representation, for which she seeks approval from the court for reimbursement. Lynne can pay y'all. You advance costs. Okay. Your client is Lynne. Analysis under Rule 7.750. Ooh, case law, maybe. Talking about the rules of court. Lynne Spears' counsel's services were necessary, were promptly and productively rendered, and were beneficial to Miss Spears and her estate. The actions taken by petitioner and her counsel resulted in significant benefit to Miss Spears. Again, if she feels that way, she can pay you. Again, specifically, Lynne Spears and her counsel requested a top-down review of the conservatorship. We went there. Okay, we went there. They just had to get up to speed. I had to get up to speed on the conservatorship. My costs were advanced to download all of the court records and pay for them. I did a top-down review. I should absolutely submit my hourly. I'm teasing. I would never. We just put ads on the videos. It's fine. Requested a top-down review of the conservatorship over the person. In that same top-down review, requested an examination of the many personal restrictions on Britney, including questioning who was directing those restrictions. Great questions were asked. I have questions. Fabulous. Continuing from the very start, push for checks and balances of a conservator of the estate, which the court should have been doing from the beginning. Just because they were bad doesn't mean you get attorney's fees. Objected to Hall and Knight's outrageous fees. We all object to Hall and Knight's outrageous fees as a point of moral outrage. Supported the removal of James Spears. Vote for removal. I didn't see any case law cited. Request for special notice other than Lynne Spears' own, and a request for special notice filed by Geraldine A. Weil and Gerald S. Cohen on October 26, 2021. Petitioner is aware of no requests for special notice that have been filed. Assets of the estate. The estate has adequate assets to cover the outstanding attorney's fees. Just because the money is there doesn't mean it's yours. Britney should use it to buy herself some fucking Skechers and sushi. Be like, that is my Skechers and sushi budget from now on. Grounds. There's grounds. Look, there's grounds for the petition. Let's see what it is. Attorney's fees are appropriate and warranted in the instant matter for Lynne Spears' counsel, given the advantages, results, and benefits achieved for Miss Spears, and given the fact that all the actions were taken in the former conservatee's best interest, because we said so. In the petition, Lynne sets out, God, now I want sushi. Lynne sets out, while the court must approve attorney fees in a conservatorship matter, there is no concrete rule governing when and to who and when not to award these fees. Your Honor, it's vague. It's just, the probate code is vague. It's just, it allows for fees. Just fees. Just out there. Fees. The court may look to whether the party seeking compensation was the petitioner or the conservator, whether the party successfully petitioned for conservatorship. Petitioned to put someone in a conservatorship is what the law says. Neither conservatorship nor attorney's fees are to be paid automatically as a matter of course, but must always be first approved by the court. Yeah. Okay. And how does that help you? Of course, there are equitable considerations that should allow Lynne Spears' counsel to be paid. Pay us. Pay us, please. We'd like our fees. There's case law. This is the case law that Rosengart argued against in his motion. But as put by the Supreme Court in the guardianship of Cookingham, quote, in passing upon the propriety of expenditures, the court is governed by equitable considerations relating to the law of trusts. But it's also outlined by who is entitled to recover as cited in the probate code. It doesn't say a petitioner in general. It says a petitioner for a conservatorship. Lynne is not petitioning for a conservatorship. Section 1470 of the probate code titled Discretionary Appointment Compensation and Expenses. You weren't appointed. Y'all just teasing me now. Discretionary appointment compensation and expenses is one of the sections that allows the court to appoint private legal counsel for a conservatee, but not for her mom, and sets out that such a private legal counsel appointed by the court for the conservatee shall be compensated for services. That doesn't apply to you. Rendered and expenses incurred, and that the payment shall come from the estate if the conservatee is an adult. In the notes to the statute is written, quote, Section 1470 does not affect the right to compensation in cases not covered by this section. And these are the same things that they cited at the beginning that still don't help. In Re Moore's estate, where an attorney's fees were awarded to a doctor who first requested the conservatorship, petitioned for the conservatorship as allowed under the code. Let's do the next one. Let's do this again. In Re Bundy's estate, wherein a niece of Bundy petitioned for an adjudication of incompetency, petitioned for a guardianship. Those are distinguishable. Several other similar cases hold in the context of the provision of necessities, food, shelter, legal services. But those are necessities to the conservatee as approved in advance by the courts. So there is law. It just doesn't apply here at all. Yes, you can pay for the food and shelter of the conservatee. Okay. Restoration to competency is one of life's necessities. A contract to pay for such restoration should be implied in order to bind the estate of the incompetent upon a contract implied in law for the payment of necessities. Yes, you should pay for someone's life to get better and for them to be taken care of. But that's the conservatee. More recently, in 2014, a case titled Conservatorship of the Person of David E. Mazzucco, not officially published, not reported by Cow Reporter. Then why are you citing it? A niece contended that her fees should be paid because she litigated in good faith in order to serve conservatee's best interest in establishing a permanent conservatorship. All of this case law goes to the person petitioning for a conservatorship, which is what the code allows for. That's not what Lynne did. Lynne didn't petition for the conservatorship. This case law doesn't apply. Y'all, I know they're stretching, but come on. Ooh, they're stretching, but now they're doing it in bold and italics. Great. The Mazzocco court, which is not a published opinion, read more and these other cases, Cornelius included, together to, quote, create the rule that a person can be awarded attorney's fees if they indirectly, rather than directly, fall within an established category for an award of fees, and that the person acted with good faith and in the conservatee's best interest. There must be some basis either in law or equity for collecting attorney's fees. And if that basis applies indirectly, then the person seeking attorney's fees acted in good faith and to serve the best interest of the conservatee, then the attorney's fees may be awarded. It's not a published case. The court noted that in the instant case, section 2642 subdivision A provides an attorney who has rendered legal services to the conservator of the person may petition a court for an order fixing and allowing compensation. This isn't the conservator or the arguably, this statute could indirectly apply to the niece's attorney. It was the niece's objection that requested the appointment of a conservator of the person. Ultimately, Jenkins was appointed conservator of the person, and then they get paid as the conservator of the person. To the extent it could be found that the niece's attorneys rendered legal services to the conservator of the person by indirectly establishing the conservatorship, they still petitioned for it. Then the fees could be awarded indirectly. They say that that case supports the award of petitioner's fees, which is like a bendy, twisty pretzel to get there. That case supports the award of petitioner's fees, where even though her counsel did not represent Ms. Spears, Lynne Spears and her counsel acted in good faith and obviously to benefit Ms. Spears, not herself, and her counsel's actions for which Lynne Spears is requesting attorney's fees actually benefited Ms. Spears and her estate. Petitioner's counsel's actions indirectly fall into the section of 2640 category of the award to, quote, conservator of the estate or person for services in the best interest of the conservatee. Okay. Sure. Lynne Spears' counsel indirectly acted as a conservator. This is happening. Lynne Spears' counsel indirectly acted as a conservator for Miss Spears by asking for reviews of the conservatorship in May 2019 and to measure whether the conservatorship was even still necessary by supporting the appointment and replacement of conservators of both the person and estate, by objecting to the Holland and Knight outrageous fees, by petitioning for Miss Spears to be afforded the authority to hire private counsel of her choosing, by supporting the removal of James Spears from the conservatorship, and finally by supporting the termination of the conservatorship. We didn't object. Finally, there are no two costs statutes that make clear that costs can be payable to any party or out of an estate, or that make clear that costs can be payable by any party or out of an estate in the discretion of the court. The court just has discretion. You can just do things. Just do things. Probate Code section 1002 and 1020. Sorry, nope, that's from the last sentence. Code of Civil Procedure, Article 1026 reads, quote, in an action prosecuted or defended by a person expressly authorized by statute. Are we expressly authorized? Costs may be recovered as in an action by or against a person prosecuting or defending in the person's own right. There are many statutes that expressly authorize Lynne Spears as a relative and interested party to do things. Y'all, she's authorized to do things. She can do the things. She is authorized to do things. And I'm not saying that I don't think somebody needed to step in for the fuckery of this conservatorship. But again, I don't think the court has the authority to force Britney to pay these legal fees. Here's what I think. This is what I would love to see. Lynne Spears and her attorneys suing Sam Ingham for having to do his job to disengorge fees from Ingham. Sue him. We had to step in and do your job. You weren't doing your job. You should pay us. You were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. You pay us. We stepped in because you weren't doing it. So you should be disengorged. of the fees that you were getting. Do that. I want to see that. Do that. Let that happen. Let that happen. But she was authorized to do things, Your Honor, the things. She could do the things. Lord. For example, the articles that authorize her as an interested party, quote, appear, these are the things she was allowed to do. This is what she was allowed to do. Hold on to your butts for the things. To appear at a hearing and support or oppose a petition. Mm. Mm. See also in the conservatorship termination chapter, sections 1861, quote, termination petition, persons authorized to file, and 1863 titled Hearing and Judgment, both of which authorize a relative of the, there's a lot of ellipses here, a relative of the conservatee or other interested party to appear and support the termination of the conservatorship. We saw Stan the Stan file a petition to terminate the conservatorship. Does that mean Stan the Stan gets his attorney's fees paid for being his own pro per attorney? No, but he filed a petition to terminate. Okay. This is exactly what Lynne Spears did immediately upon becoming involved in the conservatorship in May 2019, when, through counsel, she questioned whether the conservatorship and its restrictions were necessary. Did she file a petition to terminate? No. No, she didn't. She had questions. She questioned whether the conservatorship was necessary. And again, in support of Ms. Spears' former court-appointed counsel's petition to appoint Bessemer Trust, we support you. As conservator of the estate, also in conjunction with former court-appointed counsel's petition to suspend and remove Jamie Spears, we support you. Service list, great. Wherefore, Lynne Spears repeats her prayer for the court to order as follows: payment of legal fees incurred to be paid to the firm of Jones Swanson in the amount of $504,000, reimbursement of incurred cost to the firm of Jones Swanson in the amount of $9,718, payment of legal fees incurred by petitioner paid to the firm Ginsburg and Bronstein in the amount of $146,000, reimbursement of incurred cost to the same firm in the amount of $2,300, reimbursement of incurred cost, e-filing and services to the firm Ginsburg and Bronstein in the amount of $538, from the conservatorship, fees and assets or assets on hand. We made it, y'all. We made it through. We've survived. I'm a survivor. That what? I have questions. You have questions. We have questions. Let's have questions. Y'all. That was a special type of adventure today. There was not a murderous conspiracy, but the beginning of the lawsuit did actually give us something to continue to discuss. That Britney objecting to $600,000 of fees to her mother apparently is an astounding turn of events. I need to keep remembering astounding turn of events. It's going in the lexicon of Lawnard. The lexicon of Lawnard. Monuments to the gods of speculation. This is a lawsuit because of the defendant's greed, murderous conspiracy, and this is an astounding turn of events. It gave us something. But I don't think these legal grounds are going to be sufficient. I think if Britney wants to pay anything for her mother's legal fees, then she can choose to do that. If she wants to stop paying for her mother's house, she can choose to do that too. It's her money. Let's talk about how she's spending her money. I love how people spend their money. Sometimes it confuses me and hurts my head. With Britney, it never does. Like, wide permission and wide latitude. Britney's spending her money on vacation, and hopefully this post is still up. Okay, good. Britney was posting about Sam, called him the Hubs, and said, Matthew, my lawyer, has been so kind to introduce me to some of the most magical places I've ever been in my life. Look at how fucking gorgeous. Not Sam. Like, Sam, also a good looking dude, but look at how gorgeous. Like, pool, white sand, beach, like gorgeous. Oh, I won't forget, Alicia. I won't forget the Kafka-esque nightmare. Thank you. Won't forget it. Um, Matthew, my lawyer, has been so where's Matthew vacationing? Rosengart, we need a list. We all need to upgrade our vacations. I need to go here. Matthew, my lawyer, has been so kind to introduce me to some of the most magical places I've ever been in my life. Trust me, I know the beauty in where I am, and it's much appreciated. So here's me shooting pics of my husband, ring emoji. Um, I have to do big letters because that's what my sister has always done on her gram. Anyway, it's so mind opening to be in a resort where there is no paparazzi. For the first time in my life, I can actually be that girl who can act stuck up and talk to others about how I'm getting married out at dinners. Acceptance and freedom are my key factors in my life at the moment, and also loving this yummy man who I love so much. It's kind of stupid. Talk about stupid me and my dog walked into the glass doors looking at the beach. I mean, I might walk into those glass doors looking at the beach. I laughed so loud at him, and then the next day I did the same thing. Fair, just one of those moments. Why did I just walk into a window? It's because everything is so clear here. Goggles in the water and the ocean. I honestly just want ice water here because it's so hot. Coffee makes me too sick. I've never rejected coffee. I s- I like still water with lemon. Great. Anyways, it's a clear day and God bless. Um, I don't know. Sam Asghari is kind of trolling under here, but I love it. I mean, get all of it with the pictures. We're not going to comment on anything beyond the gorgeous scenery. Gorgeous, see, not your face. Gorgeous. I want to go to water that color. I want to go to water that color. So we know that Britney is at least getting to enjoy vacation. She is sharing all of it on the gram and getting to feel like she's supported, which good for her. The court can't force her to pay this. I don't think there's any legal grounds for them to do so. But what do I know? I've just been a lawyer for like almost 16 years. We don't just play one on the internet, though sometimes we do. Let's get to questions. You guys just go ahead and question. I'm going to get to some questions. I'm going to get to some super chats, and then I've got to go. Because it's 9 o'clock. I have a very early appointment to get my hair done tomorrow. Hey, Matt Bond. Hey, spiffy legal talky friend. Hello, friend. Good to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Jennifer Edwards said, thank you for all you do. Love and for being the better person. Oh, look, with maturity and a professional career comes a lot of tolerance. Here's the thing I will say that I have learned in all of the work as a lawyer. When people feel backed into a corner, they do crazy things. We see when I was prosecuting people, I didn't hold things against them when they lashed out and got crazy at me. It's like, I get it. I'm doing my job. You don't love the job that I'm doing, and I understand it. I don't understand it so much when I'm not doing anything to the person other than reading legal documents and giving my opinion on them, but not everyone sees things the same way. And yeah, not everyone sees things the same way. And if there were no legal documents, there would be no conversation. Dawn, thank you for calling me a youth. You're welcome. 45-year-old college kid right here. You're the best. You're welcome, young fellow child. Hello, fellow students. Kelly B. Okay, so if you were not married to Dr. Badass, would you marry me? Absolutely, would highly consider. Would want to maybe get to know you a little bit first, but would absolutely consider. At what was the point Rakeda made about Justice Jackson? I think I missed that. I talked about him making the point that Breyer is not all the way retired yet. So we've appointed a Supreme Court justice, but the outgoing one hasn't all the way retired. So there's that. Question, why do you have to be tall to play water polo? Water polo play is very much benefited from having long arms. I have very short arms, given my height. I have short arms. But water polo is a sport where you use your back and your arms to do almost everything. And the taller you are, the longer your arms, the longer your torso, the better the benefit. If you have not watched water polo, it's kind of a hard game to watch on TV when you don't understand it because a lot happens under the water. But height is a huge, advantage in water polo. Because torso length and arms, which is why my giant little brother played at UCLA and I played at UMass. For Q&A, any thoughts on how Marjorie Taylor Greene reported Jimmy Kimmel's slap joke to the DC police? This woman will really do anything for a headline. Thoughts, like, are jokes really threats of violence? Like, was it a threat of violence? Really? Really? What did Jimmy Kimmel say? Where's Will Smith when you need him? Look, their jokes are jokes. Jokes made on ABC are clearly not intended as threats of violence. Kitty nip tip for Fred and George, but you need to work it more, boo. You're a handsome cat. Get on camera. George definitely spends his evenings with Travis. He is a singularly minded cat. And it's so funny because Travis will be at his computer and George will just be either splayed over his desk or his keyboard or his lap or like laying right next to him. It is just from the moment Travis gets home, there's lots of George. So George is here in the morning, but in the evening, he is with his human. My heart hurts for Britney that now all of the sudden her family is publicly denouncing the conservatorship. Like all these years they've been there. The fuckery, I guess, is to be anticipated at this point. Like it just hasn't ended. At least she's like, I've got a delicious man and a beautiful view. And good for her. I think they're all scared. Personal opinion, I think they're all scared. Like, what do you do now to make money if you're James Spears? What do you do now if you're Lynne Spears? Like, what do you do now? I think they're scared. And people, when they're afraid, do interesting and odd things and tend to lash out. The Gift Heart said, as in the movie Spaceballs, there should be a level beyond Code Fred called Code Plaid. I agree with Code Plaid. I don't know how to make it happen. I don't know what Code Plaid would look like. Y'all come up with an idea. I will try to execute it. But yes, we get to DEFCON. We get to the fuckery so fast that we're like, there's more. Like it keeps going. We need Red or Red to help make a Code Fred button a reality, because that's all said and done. The world needs more Fred. That's true. We all need more Fred. Seeing all this and wonder, any wonder Britney had a break? No. I mean, the amount of stuff she had piling up on her, I have tremendous empathy. Lynne Spears' response is vile. Put both parents in a mud pit and let them go at it. I mean, over like the last $3 that they have, right? All evidence. What evidence does Lynne have that Britney Spears approved this? Alicia, they walked into court together in May of 2019. Avi, sarcasm. Also, why would Judge Penny hold it until a later date to read the papers? The papers were filed a day before the court, and to give an opportunity to read the papers. I wish she'd been like, y'all should have filed this shit earlier. Denied. But we know that's not Judge Penny's style. Came to the channel for Britney, stayed for the Emily, lost in a crowd 3. Thank you so much. Do the likey, subscribey things. I don't think I've said that tonight at all, because I like to talk about the topics and chat with the law nerds. But don't forget to do the likey, subscribey things. If you don't follow me around the social medias at the Emily D. Baker, that's where I do things on a quicker note than I do here on the channel, except for this week where we streamed a lot. Motion for new DEF CON level. DEF CON scorched earth or hellscape. Get some faux flames. Faux flames. Whoosh. I can see it. I need Hunger Games style faux flames, but we could get, I'm sure there's a little flame machine. I've seen them on TikTok. Thanks for the discount on Gerard Cosmetics. Such a wonderful company and fabulous products. Janice, yes, I love Gerard Cosmetics. 90% of my lip products are Gerard Cosmetics, and they're not tacky. Not tacky sticky, and I love them. So you're welcome. And thank Jen Gerard for that, because she reached out as my channel was growing and said, hey, I dig you. Here's some stuff you might like. And I'm like, thank you so much. Nintendo Gaming Channel. Hello. Are you going to cover the Johnny Depp Amber Heard lawsuit come Monday until the end? On Monday, they're doing jury selection, which will not be televised. I will have a case brief of the case up on Wednesday on the podcast for you all. I have a very busy week, but I will be popping in for streaming this week and coverage on social media. I have a live event here. I have two speaking engagements on Wednesday, and friends and team members coming into town on Tuesday. So I will be doing some I just don't know how much. And then the following week, I will be doing more. But there are other law tubers, including Legal Bites, that will be streaming it. So you can always go and give her channel some love and her commentary some love. Do you think movie makers will make a series a la The Dropout, Inventing Anna for the Girardi Criminal Enterprise? I'm sure somebody's already working on it because it is everything. It is everything like a drama should be. Speaking of people that will be in Nashville, good to see you, Octonation. Question, any update on Johnny Depp's motion to throw out the pictures? No, I looked at the end of the court day today and there was nothing new there. So I don't know when they're going to address it, but there's been nothing on the record. New lawyers keep appearing. Like there's more pro hoc vice motions, but Lord, I can't believe how late this has gotten. So we will see. Kaylin said, question, what's the audacity of these lawyers? All. Do you think they actually think they presented a good argument for attorney's fees? I think they did what they thought they had to do based on what they had. So this is we gotta make the argument. So Susie Q, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills new trailer is insane. I broke it down in the Law Nerd community at lawnerdzunite.com on the I Have Thoughts podcast. Ashley Vincent, that's exactly what happened. You were going to talk about the article that posted about you. Oh, I was. I didn't talk about it very much. I took it down. Hold on. Let me go find it again. I was going to talk about the Johnny Depp article just a little bit at the beginning of the whiskey. So that's when I was going to talk about it. Thank you for the reminder. Y'all are the best. It's why I like live streaming so darn much, because it's like, wait, you were going to do this, and it closes all the loops. So this is the Vulture article. It's on my Twitter. Oh, see, I read it once, and now I have to log in. So y'all can go read it, but it's a great breakdown of the run up to this case. I'm also going to be doing a breakdown for the podcast next week, but it's a great rundown of running up to this case and talks about the fact that there is going to be a star-studded witness list. I worry because I have so much going on Tuesday, though, if jury selection is done on Monday, during our time for Coffee and Cursey Words, we will just stream as much of the trial as we can catch during that period of time. I worry that the plaintiff's just going to come in hot. Like after opening arguments, they're just going to be like, Johnny Depp, get on the stand. And I'm going to be like, I have speaking engagements today. I'm worried I'm going to miss parts of it. But they might just come in hot and have Depp take the stand first. They could call Amber Heard to the stand first, which we saw in the Cardi B case. We should start a pool. Who will, after opening arguments, who was the first person that the plaintiff calls? In the Cardi B case, they called Tasha K to the stand first. And we're like, did you say this shit? And authenticated all the evidence. Like, talk about a power play. They're like, defendant, you're up. Defendant, you're up. Wild. So I will be very interested to see who they call first out of opening. I think the opening statements will probably take a half a day. I'd be surprised if jury selection is done on Monday, but I have been surprised on how fast jury selection has gone in some of these high profile cases almost every single time, because jury selection can take so long. But when it goes fast, they're like, it's a federal case, go, go, go. And that's very, very interesting. So it is going to be an interesting trial. I will keep you posted on social and on the text crew when I am going live to cover it, because I will be doing some extra lives, and that's it. So can someone be called up to testify or question more than once? In some circumstances. So unfortunately, lawyer answer, it depends. But if Amber Heard is called up to authenticate the statements she made that are part of Johnny Depp's case, she can be called again in her case in chief. She can be recalled to the witness stand for later questioning. What happens if somebody is subpoenaed and they are dismissed, not subject to being recalled? Then you have to re-subpoena them to get them back up, unless they're just not being a jerk about it and they decide to come. But if you dismiss someone not for recall, then their subpoena is over and you have to re-subpoena them. So yes, but it depends. Question, did you get the new Holo Taco collection? I have not been to my PO box. I have been getting PR from Holo Taco. It might be in there, but I have not had a chance to get up there and look. So maybe. Question, is there a fee associated with joining the text crew? Regular text messaging rates do apply, but other than that, no, it is free. Text Emily.com. Other than your regular text messaging rates, just text from your cell phone and it will sign you up in North America. The extent of the Girardi crime should be a federal crime. It is a federal crime, but federal prosecutors have to charge it. So federal prosecutors have to bring it. I'm sure it's being investigated. We know that the Illinois judge referred it to prosecution. Like, I'm waiting. Like, there's a moment where either Bravo is going to call and be like, we need you to cover the Jen Shaw trial, which I'm going to do anyway. Or the feds are going to be like, would you like to be would you like to be deputized to be in our housewives division? Like, if the feds ever start a housewives division, I might yeet myself off of YouTube and go back to prosecuting because at some point there's got to be a housewives division at the US Attorney's office. It's amazing. So, Kathy Ann said, question, can't Britney technically evict her family? It depends on whose name the properties are in. If the properties are in Britney's name, then yes, she can take proceedings to remove them. If the properties are in their names, then it gets a little dicier and it depends. I am not familiar with landlord-tenant law in Louisiana, but it's really the first step is whose name is it in. So, question, what's the over-under on Judge Penny allowing Lynne's lawyers to be paid for? I always hate guessing what Judge Penny's going to do because Judge Penny does things, but I don't see a path for it to be legal to appoint this. And I can't see Rosengart not raising all hell in court. And Judge Penny seems to have been very deferential to Rosengart at this point. So I think it's more likely than not that these will not get paid by the court. Bravo Victims Unit, the BVU. Emily, you were destined to the Real Housewives and law world. I feel like it's all very kismet and I love it. I want to be the head of the Housewives department. I do. I will do other reality. I love covering content creators because the reason I like covering content creators, especially like the Ethan Klein suit and the Toddy Westbrook suits, is that there are so many of these lawsuits like Kavanaugh suing Ethan Klein, where you're just like, you can't just sue someone because you don't like what they're saying. But when something is defamatory, you need to sue to stand up for yourself, a la Cardi B. But you can't just sue to silence someone, a la Cav. So covering creator suits really helps us move around where are these boundaries of what you can and can't say online and where the boundaries are of what's opinion, what's fact, and what's defamatory. And that's very interesting. So with this, I'm going to get one last question and then I'm going to get going because it's been like 2 hours and 17 minutes. And I still have some stuff to record tonight. Which YouTuber channel I'm guessing which YouTuber channel will be impartial covering Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, unlike mainstream media. I think at this point, almost everyone has a side. I really like Legal Bites' coverage. She has been leaning kind of team Johnny based on some of the things she's seen with Amber, but she's always very clear, like, this makes me lean this way, but something else would make me lean this way. So it's not a rooting for a side. It's more of a, based on everything I see before me now, I see this. But if that changes, then I will change. And I appreciate the way that she breaks that down. I also know that Rakeda will be covering it. There will be lots of jokes. So depending on your threshold for Rakeda and the way that he jokes about things, I don't know if he's covered this a lot or if he has a perspective on this. So those are the two that I know will be covering it. I'm sure others will pop up as well. Or if you just want to watch it, I believe either Law and Crime or Court TV will just be streaming the trial so you can watch it without commentary. So that's what I think. Reality division. I love that. Oh, So not a question. Emma, that's totally fine. I graduated from university for my foundation degree today, BSc in July. Thank you for helping me study. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Question, will you cover the Jeff Wittick Dobrik case? If it's filed, I'll cover it. I think Jeff should sue, but if he files, I'll cover it. Then we'll get to talk about contributory negligence and employee workspaces and things like that. Paige asked, after learning that you play Animal Crossing, I want to know what your favorite villager is. In my village, Marshall is my favorite because Marshall is a sassy little marshmallow and I love him. So my son also uses my account to remotely play one of the Mario games, Mario Kart, maybe with his friends. And one of his friends was shading how many hours I had on Animal Crossing. I was like, you can't use my Nintendo account if your kids are going to shade me. If your friends are going to shade me for my time spent playing Animal Crossing, not going to let any of you do it. Laura S. said, I heard audio today from Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. It started, Court TV has started putting some of that stuff up, going through the things that have already been released. So yes, we will absolutely see it. So with that question, is it bedtime yet? Yes. Yes, it is bedtime. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being Law Nerds. I will miss you tomorrow night on Friday night, but I need a few days before our live event. I will show you the hair tomorrow on social media. I will be back on Tuesday for Coffee and Cursey Words. We will see where we find the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial during our normally scheduled gathering together. And then we've got our live event. It's Spilling Tea Live. I did not consider the court schedule of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard when scheduling Spilling Tea Live, but I am so excited to see some of you here in Nashville. Those of you who want to view the streaming, it's only a few dollars. You can do that at Spilling Tea Live and purchase the stream and see it on Wednesday night. And I will be sharing on social about the weekend and people being in town. I'll get to see Octo in person. It's been too long. And I get to see some of you guys. I cannot wait. So if you're not following me on social at the Emily D. Baker, go ahead and do the likey, subscribey things here. We're almost at 202. We love that for us. Thank you for being a Law Nerd. Stay hydrated. And we will talk about at the very end as I'm saying goodbye, Elena. I'm currently in a paralegal class and watching you has helped a lot. Thank you. I'm doing really well on my homework because of what I've learned from you. Have a great weekend. Congratulations. I've had a number of those of you studying to be court reporters say that you transcribe the streams. And I'm like, look, I talked slower than this in court. So if you can transcribe me at a clip on a stream, you're going to be set for court. With that, it is time to say goodnight. It is time to say goodbye. And I will see you all around the interwebs and then again for Coffee and Cursey Words. Good night. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.